be sentenced with regards to 2 separate felony convictions. One is for capturing or distributing an image of an unclothed person. That's punishable by up to 5 years in prison. And the other charge is for using a computer to commit a crime with a maximum punishment of up to 4 years in prison.
40?
The court has received a pre-sentence report that has scored the sentencing guidelines for the more serious offense at 0 to 11 months. Mr. Lynch, do you have any objection to the scoring of the guidelines?
No objection to scoring, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Lansing?
No objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Lansing, have you reviewed a copy of the pre-sentence report?
I have, Your Honor.
Do you have any additions, corrections, or deletions to be made?
None.
Do you have a recommendation from the court?
Your Honor, we would hear or ask the court to hear on behalf of the victim and restate after that.
Okay.
Meredith Baxter, B-A-X-T-E-R. I am the godmother of Cambridge.
Okay. Thank you for being here, Ms. Baxter. What would you like me to consider?
I just wanted to know that they were minors and that there's only 2 that made the decision to move forward with pressing charges, but actually 8 children are victims of his actions. He presented himself as their coach, a positive male influence, a mentor, and they're left with confusion, shame, guilt, even though they are innocent children. And 0 months seems a little shy, in my opinion. And I also want to make sure he's not able to do this to children in the future. So whether that's being in jail or therapy, something must be done so it doesn't continue to happen.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here and thank you for your comments. Mr. Lansing?
Thank you, Your Honor. Our records, our file showed the notes, was that there was a contribution of 6 months jail plus probation. We would agree with that. We would ask the court and make it part of the record to consider the victim impact statements on page 8, 9, and 10 of the pre-sentence investigation report. And we certainly agree with 5 years of probation. Your Honor, we ask that this be as long as possible.
Thank you.
With the guideline range of 0 to 11. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Lynch, have you had a chance to review the pre-sentence report with Mr. Overbeek?
Yes, Your Honor, we reviewed it.
And do you have any additions, corrections, or deletions to be made?
No, we do not.
Is there anything that you'd like me to consider before I impose sentence?
Yes, Your Honor. This is a sensitive case about sensitive issues. Obviously, we have family members here today. Prosecuting attorneys, his office has set forth his position clearly on this one. And Mr. Overbeek and I have had a great deal of time to talk about this, to process it. He entered a no contest plea out of concerns for potential civil liability, which of course, necessarily, on the advice of counsel, limits his ability to address the court directly or address others directly. So I'm going to do the best that I can to express his deep remorse and contrition for what happened here. I think it's very easy in a situation like this to view Chad's relationships with and his connections with these young men as nothing but pretext. That somehow he befriended them and initiated involvement in their lives for the purpose of carrying out something like this. And in reality, Your Honor, I can tell you that nothing could be further from the truth. That's not to say that what he did here wasn't wrong, because it was. That's not to say that the family members should not feel a sense of betrayal at what's happened here, because it's understandable that they do.
That's what they're trying to
But
do.
I can tell you that from his heart, Chad is someone who does care and did always care about the welfare and the futures of these young men. It doesn't justify what happened here. It certainly doesn't excuse it. But I can tell you that Chad is deeply sorry for what he's done. He will embrace eagerly the counseling that he knows that he needs. He won't need to be forced to do it or to go through it. He knows he's someone who has issues that have to be sorted out, issues from his own past that have to be unpacked and dealt with. And I have every reason to believe that he's going to invest himself in that process with the same zeal that he invested in the lives of these young men, and unfortunately made some very bad decisions after. So, Your Honor, in terms of the guidelines, they are what they are. We don't have any dispute with the calculations or the scoring. As the court is aware, we did enter into the agreement that there'll be no more than 6 months jail. We asked that the court consider a shorter sentence, but we have no objection to the recommended probation period, and of course, the fines and costs appear to be standard. So we appreciate the court's consideration, and again, on behalf of Mr. Overbeek, he is sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Overbeek, is there anything that you'd like to say before I impose sentence?
Yeah, there are no words that can express with enough emphasis how very sorry and remorseful, embarrassed and ashamed that I, nor the amount of pain or anguish that I feel for those individuals. These people are people I most care about, and I put a lot of my heart into. This does not represent who I am or the values of my family or my friends. With God's help, I will forever be putting everything I've got into proving exactly that. I beg for forgiveness from everyone. I pray for healing to those involved, and I ask for mercy of the courts.
Thank you. Well, I think that Ms. Baxter summed it up well in her comments that this is something that deeply affects many people that were involved in the situation, and not just the minors that were involved, but their families as well, Mr. Overbeek. And you were in a position of trust with these children and their families, and you violated that trust and caused a lot of turmoil and embarrassment for these young folks. And it's clear that you need a period of probation to help you deal with these issues so that it doesn't happen again. It's clear that you also deserve to be punished. And I believe that the 6 months that I agreed that would be the maximum, I am going to follow that, but I do believe that the 6 months should be served as punishment, and hopefully as a wake-up call for you to realize that you don't ever want to come back to jail. And I hope that that motivates you to succeed on probation and do the counseling that you need to do. So I am going to follow the recommendation, but I'm only going to place you on probation in one of the two, for one of the two counts. The recommendation was for probation in both, but Mr. Lanting, maybe, unless you know the reason why probation would be warranted in both counts, I think only the more serious charge I place him on probation for.
I would agree, Mayor. Thank you.
So, Mr. Overbeek, with regards to the charge of capturing the image of an unclothed person, it's a sentence of the court that you be placed on probation for a period of 5 years and that you serve 6 months in the Allegheny County Jail or 180 days with credit for 43 days already served. You are also ordered to pay $130 crime victim fee, $68 in state costs, $500 in court costs, and a $30 per month supervision fee. I'll go over your probation terms in a moment. With regards to count 4, the use of a computer to commit a crime, it's a sentence of the court that you serve 6 months in the Allegheny County Jail with credit for 43 days already served, and that you pay a $68 state fee. These two sentences will be concurrent with one another. With regards to the terms of probation, I'm going to list them by number, and your probation agent will explain them to you. I'll name some of them specifically, but most of them will be by number. Condition 1.1 is that you not live in a residence with any person under the age of 17. Condition 1.11 is that you register pursuant to the Michigan Sex Offender Registry Act. Condition 1.12 is that you not access the internet while you're on probation without permission from your probation agent. Condition 1.13 is to not use telephone numbers or telephone services which are sexually oriented. Condition 1.15 is to facilitate sex offender case management team meetings, that you have to agree to waive confidentiality. You must also complete sex offender treatment as required by section 1 or term 1.5. And also condition 1.2 that you not have any verbal, written, electronic, or physical contact with any individual under the age of 17 without permission of your probation agent. You're also not to reside in student safety zones and not to loiter in areas within 500 feet of parks, municipal pools, playgrounds, or childcare centers. You also must not possess any photographic equipment or photographic development equipment as defined by term 1.9. Then the other terms I'll list by number, which are 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, 2.4, 2.8, 2.9, 3.5, 4.13, 4.16, 4.17, 4.18, 4.19, 4.2, 4.20, 4.21, 4.22, 4.23, 4.24, 4.25, 4.26, 4.5 is no contact with Orion Yates, Robert Diller Jr., Kane Wicks, Jordan Manders, Caleb Lamb, Leah Hood, Nolan Overbeek, or Lauren Ray. Also condition
Lauren
6.4, 7.1,
Nolan
8.0, 9.01, 9.20, and 9.21. I also have
Glad
to
they
inform
put
you
all the
that you have
names
the
in
right to
there.
ask the Court of Appeals to review this case and to ask for a lawyer for that purpose at public expense if you can't afford one. The request for an attorney must be made within 42 days after sentencing. You will receive a request form containing instructions informing you that it must
Did you say Caleb Lane?
and return to the court
Mhm.
within 42 days after sentencing if you want the court to appoint an attorney for you. We'll also provide you in writing with a notice regarding your potential eligibility for early discharge from probation at some
I
point
sent him the live
later in
stream.
time.
I sent him the link to
Anything
it.
further today,
I'll send
Mr.
this video
Encomier?
too,
Or
that way
Mr.
everybody has
I'm
it.
sorry, Mr. Langston?
No, you don't.
Mr. Lynch,
Mine quit
anything further
recording.
today?
No, thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to inquire as to whether Mr. Overbeek will be supplied by the jail a copy of the appellate notice, or whether that's something that we need as his counsel to
I
get.
think it is counsel typically.
We're happy to do that.
Typically, yes, but, I did, take care of that with them, and there's the signed copy right there.
Appellate rights or the,
The appellate rights.
okay, what about the probation rights?
That I don't have.
Okay, if you can supply those to them, Mr. Lynch,
Take
okay?
care of it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, good luck, Mr. Overbeek.
Your Honor,
Yes,
Thank you.
it appears Mr. Overbeek resides in Tennessee, or did, if he's returning there, we would need a probation condition to allow him to apply for interstate
Fucking
transfer,
Chester.
and at the same time not be allowed to leave Michigan until this process is completed.
all right, then yes, we should add that term of probation, Mr. Overbeek. Not to leave the state of Michigan without permission, and if you want to live in Tennessee, you'll have to apply for a probation transfer.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're all set. Ms. Klein, are you ready on Booker Mosley?